What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to your morning transfer news, your latest updates, all what's going on at the club. There's so much going on at the club. So much going on at the club. Good morning,
Oh,
9 a.m. setting. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. Owen, good morning to you, bro. What are you saying? What are you saying? How
I'm
you feeling
good.
this
I'm
morning?
good. I'm not too bad. I was watching the Europa League final last night. Was an
Yeah,
interesting one. Great
yeah.
atmosphere, wasn't it?
Mad
Really good
atmosphere.
atmosphere. Frankfurt, of course, just nicked it on penalties. I tell you what, I know it's a cliche about German teams and penalties. Their penalties were so good.
They're proper right in the corner. A lot of
Oh
them in the top
my
corner as well.
goodness, they were so good. And honestly, a bit of a peek behind the curtain here, guys. So when we're sort of planning, what we're going to talk about last night, we were going, I tell you what, there's not really much happening during the Europa League final. Going, there's not a lot going on, and then suddenly avalanche. You just get tons of it. You get tons of news, tons of transfer speculation, loads on Eric Ten Hag, his assistant manager, his budget. We're going to talk about that. Ralph Rangnick, his involvement, and I feel like with the Rangnick, I want to pat myself on the back a little bit because I've been flying that flag
Yeah, it was
a lot here on the
literally,
channel.
it was almost like verbatim what you said. Like
Yeah,
when you were saying loads of stuff about the Ralph situation, and there was another that said about why McLaren's coming to the club. Don't know if you saw that
you know what
bit.
I mean?
We'll get to that, but I know you're not the "I told you so" guy. You know what I mean? You're not
No,
that guy. You're not that
we can
guy.
save that for later.
Exactly. So smash the likes, subscribe if you're not new to the channel. Let's get into this. 140 million pounds, euros to spend is being reported by a Dutch journalist called Mike Verwijge, I'm going to say. Mike Verwijge.
I'm confident with Verwijge.
Yeah, sounds quite Dutchy, doesn't it? Sounds very sounds very Dutchy. Past the Dutchy.
Yeah,
It
is that
sounds
a word?
very
Very
past the
Dutchy.
Dutchy. Past the Dutchy on the
Yeah.
left-hand side. Yeah. It was said
Right.
in a song, mate. Dutchy.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a real word or is it a flexism? Is that going to go into the flex
Uh,
dictionary?
I don't know, man. I think it's an Aswad
Yeah.
ism. But no, it's a big one because we were talking about. I remember a few weeks back, about a month ago, there was reports of 200 million to spend. Me and Marcel
Yeah.
covered that show at the time. What are you saying about 100? Is 140 million pounds euro? Is that enough? Is that enough for what we need in this summer?
It depends, doesn't it? Because it's a very I think it depends how hard and fast that 140 million is. If that's just irrespective of players leaving, irrespective of everything, we're giving you 140 million. You would say, well, that's a positive because we've got so many players leaving. We're going to be selling players as well. So you're going to say, well, actually, maybe that could get up to closer to say like 200 million euros, maybe with player sales involved and wages and that kind of thing. So then you would say, well, that is a positive considering how many players we need. If that's 140 million, including all of the player sales, then you would say, wow, that's look, 140 million is a lot of money, obviously. But the issue is when you're also getting quoted prices, say for Frankie de Jong of 60 to 65 million, 70 million. If you're also talking about getting up, maybe Darwin Núñez is going to cost reportedly 70 million. That's your budget gone in two players. We need more than two players. So either it's a case of those players for those higher values, we just got to say, look, we can't actually afford you this summer. We're not interested in going for you. We've got to go for sort of smaller profile players, maybe younger players, people like Timber, maybe people like Martinez, who are being quoted as 30, 35, because then you can get in 4 or 5 players of that value. So look, last season Manchester United had a defined transfer budget, and then they spent that on Varane and Sancho, and then Cristiano Ronaldo became available. So let's not rule out that if the right transfer comes available, that number might be completely redundant too, because
Yeah,
United
yeah.
do have the financial muscle and power to be able to spend more than that if they're willing. But I would think if this is accurate, that's kind of the ballpark figure that's been given to Eric Ten Hag. I mean, what did you make of that when you saw it? Did you think it's enough? I think that's the first thing United fans think,
Yeah,
is that enough? You do the quick maths in your head.
yeah. It's on face value, you'd say no. But then if you add in the players leaving and the budget being freed up on wages, if you add in a couple of player sales, which actually, when you deep it, I was trying to think about player sales last night, and I'm like, we ain't making a lot from player sales. You know, Matic is leaving on a free, Pogba's
Yeah.
leaving on a free. Lingard's leaving on a free. So there's 3 quite lucrative players, but you'd save on wages. Martial's one you could sell.
I think.
Mata,
Matter on a
I
free?
think, I think
It's a
he's got
free.
1 more year left. Is it a free?
I think it's a
No,
free.
I thought he had 1 more year left.
Maybe.
Because he hasn't done any, there hasn't been any real talk of like, I'm leaving at the end of the season because it's a free. Like Matic was running down. I thought Mata would have said something. I feel like he would have.
But he's definitely
just been
going.
really quiet.
He did the big wave, didn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely going. So what do you get? 8 million for him?
Probably nothing. Let's be honest.
Well,
They could,
yeah,
you could just go on a free.
Yeah. So that. Who else do I look at? Martial. If he leaves, you can sell him. You can sell Martial for like what? 35.
I was going to say, what price do you go with for that? I mean, that's.
I know KG tried to tell me one day that we could still get 70 million for Martial. He told me that. That's what he told me. Genuinely, he told me that. But anyway,
I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice to KG. I'm trying to be nice to KG. Don't push me, and I'll say things, then I get told off, and I go, HR and all that kind of thing. I've turned over a new leaf, Flex.
I'm just saying what he said. I'm not asking you to, stick the boot in.
I told you, spaghetti analysis. He just throws shit at the wall, hopes that it sticks, and sometimes it does, and sometimes he doesn't. And then when it does, he goes, see, and when it doesn't, he goes, I'm reckless. That's what I do.
Exactly, 100%. If you sell Eric Bailly, what's that? 15?
Yeah, maybe
20 tops. Like,
I mean, he's got the thing that could maybe.
Oh, he's here. He's on the school run.
This is Woodward
Don't speak
logic.
to me like that in the morning, please. That's very rude.
It is very rude.
Yeah.
And this is, and then he gets angry. He goes, "Oh, he called me bold," all that kind of stuff. He's telling people to shut up. It's 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
How is that to greet people in the morning?
And the thing is that I'm not even. He said that. He said that to me. He said KG's now saying, "Oh, so that's what we're doing now." What we're doing is holding you accountable. Like I'm saying, one time we was on a video. This has popped up of how much I think we can sell Martial for, considering now he's gone on loan to Sevilla, done absolutely nothing. I think he's got another injury. 30 mil, 40 mil tops is what I'm saying. You told me 70 one day. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And he better be careful because that intro we used the other day, that's still loaded in. Okay. We can play that if we want to. Okay. That's going to live forever. So don't even worry about that one.
100%. WJ Barrett says, just Henderson to the tune for 40 and we have 180. Yeah, so that's if you did do that. Yeah, if you did do that, that could boost it to 180. And then you're probably saying, could you save an extra 20 million to make it 200 on like a Bailly, the final thing on Pereira, Zabi, Phil Jones,
5 million. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Little what plus all the wages, you probably could recoup 20. So I think if you have to get a chunk from Dean Henderson, but again. Yeah, Ken M says actually Henderson's actually our biggest selling asset. How crazy is that? He is.
Yeah,
he is. He's the only one we could say, well, he's 40 mil. English bias. He hasn't even had a full season at Man United as number one from start to finish in his career. He hasn't. He came in when De Gea had his baby, and that was it. And then other than that, he lost it straight back again this year. So he's got the most sell on, but.
Is it enough? That's the question.
Is it enough?
Is that enough?
Is it enough? But it's the most realistic, I'd say. Well, yeah,
well, that's why
Rashford is worth 100 million, you could say, but he's not worth that.
Wow,
he's not worth that, in my opinion.
Flex.
Yeah, he's not. No. Glenn saying Ken Rashford is worth 100 million. English tax, but 100 million. Whoever paid that for Rashford would be. What's worse, paying 100 million for Rashford or 85 for Maguire? 85 for Maguire is worse.
Yeah, I mean,
at least you could.
You could argue there's a possibility that Rashford could, come good. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's the thing there. But yeah, to go back to the point of 140 million, if it is as it is, let's not include player sales. Is that enough for all of the players we need to buy?
No, especially definitely. And this leads into another little bit of news that was coming out last night, which is that Man United refused to pay 70 million for Frankie de Jong. And rightly so, because we can't blow that in one go. We can't. So we either need to say, listen, here's 50 and we'll do add-ons over 3 years, or here's this or here's that, and work out a deal, because we can't afford for 70 million to go out on one player. Off the basis of that 140 million, that's a big dent if you take 70 off that. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. So to answer your question, in just 140 million terms, no, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree. I
yeah,
agree because they're saying, I think it was Chris Wheeler that said that, they wouldn't blow 70 million on that deal and a compromise remains some way off. Um, and then on top of that, actually, that original report saying about the 140 million said the likes of Jurriën Timber, Anthony, Frankie de Jong, they're all on the table, but not everything is feasible. As we were saying yesterday, for several reasons, financially, one, two being there's like 3 Ajax players we've been linked to, and they're just not going to sell 3 players and their manager to us in one
no,
season. That would be wild. I just really don't see that happening. So they're not all feasible. But when it goes to the De Jong thing, United have to stand their ground in that. They just do. And maybe Erik ten Hag really wants Frankie de Jong, and maybe he is his first choice. And I know it might seem slightly hypocritical because we've been saying, well, whatever Erik wants, you have to give him. If it's the number one choice for that position, we have to go out to get him. But we do also have to see the other side of it and say, we can't. If we have a transfer window that we sign 2 players and one of them is Frankie de Jong for 70 million and say a striker, all right, it's an okay transfer window, but I would still have major reservations going into the season because I've seen this squad play this year, and
Ten
there's
Hag would have
only
to do a
so
madness
much.
with the squad if that was the
Yeah,
only 2 signings.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. There is only so much that Erik ten Hag can do with that group of players. Granted, I do think there's more he could probably get out of some of them. Not all of them. I do think he'll have a look at some of those players and say, look, I just can't with those. They just don't fit. I don't think they're capable or they're not good enough, whatever. Some he will look at and say, I do think there's an extra level to go up there. I do think that they can improve. But 2 players, and especially with the outgoings as well, not that you have to replace everyone, but especially with the outgoings as well, I'd have major concerns going into a season where we're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday most weeks. I'd also have major reservations about 5 subs. And adapting to a new style where sometimes you saw it with Klopp, not that they play a similar style, but sometimes when you adopt a new tactical philosophy or structure, injuries happen. We've got some injury-prone players in that squad, and that would be a massive concern for me. So United have to stand their ground when it comes to that 70 million because, one, it's just good transfer business because if you're looking at Barcelona and they're like, we can't pay our players at the end of the month, and they go, we want 70 million, you go, you might want 70 million. You'll take 60. You'll take 60, or you'll take 55 because you need it.
You need it. 100%.
That's good business.
Yeah. Khan says, geez, nice and early show for me to enjoy whilst at work. Big up to anyone at work. Somebody else said earlier, loving these morning shows. If you're on your way to work or you're just chilling at home or you're getting the kids ready for school or whatever, you just got us on in the background while you work from home. Big up to you. Hope we're keeping you good company. Big up to anyone watching now. And big up to anyone who's watching this afterwards. And just if you're just joining, just to clarify the quote that Chris Wheeler said, from his tweet, he said Barcelona want to recoup the 65 million it cost to sign De Jong from Ajax in 2019. Man United made it clear to Barcelona and De Jong's representatives, which is important, both parties, that they cannot commit such a slice of their transfer funds to the midfielder. So you're right, Owen. I think it goes, that way. It goes that way. It goes, you need this. We know you need this. Also, we need the player. So come on, be reasonable. Let's sit and talk about this. I don't think Barca are in a position to do it's that or nothing.
No,
because actually he wants to stay. He wants to stay, doesn't he? I know Xavi wants him, but
if they're looking to recoup that money, and let's be honest, Frankie de Jong is a good player, chances are there will be someone out there that's probably willing to pay what Barcelona want, right? If it's an easy deal to do, which would appear it's a somewhat easy deal to do in the sense of if you've got Champions League football and you've got the money that Barca are looking for. We mentioned Man City yesterday. I wouldn't rule them out. I really wouldn't because they're losing Fernandinho, and I just think that they might just go, Barca, what do you want? It's Pep as well, so those issues, so that negotiate with Barca would be easy. Oh, you want 70 million? All right. We only need to buy like one player. We've bought Haaland, boom, done.
Yeah.
Like that's a real possibility.
That's true. I hear you on that. Theo says, big up flexing everyone in the chat. Yeah, 100%. And Tabares says, Owen is totally deluded regarding Kante. Marcel is totally deluded regarding De Gea and Henderson. What the F? Don't want to swear. It's too early in the morning. I would swap Lindelof with Timber. Keep Bailly. What do you make of that, Owen? Tabares saying you and Marcel deluded and saying that he'd swap Lindelof with Timber and keep Bailly. Thoughts?
I'm surprised how much the Kante debate has raged on and how much
I
has
got
sort
shot
of
down. I did.
divided
I got told that I was an idiot.
opinion.
Yep. I'll take him, mate, tomorrow.
I was talking to Marcel about it yesterday because yesterday was the first time that Marcel had been on since Amsterdam. So these big sort of topics, he hadn't really spoken about that much. So I asked him about Kante, and he was saying a bit like you. He's like, oh, he's one of the best midfielders. And although my point was that he would say, yes, he's old. Yes, has injury concerns, but I don't see any reason not to get him. And then my point was, you just said the reasons not to get him. And then he would say, well,
I think when Marcel says it in that order like that, he's teed it up for you perfectly, to be fair.
Yeah, but look, it divides opinion. And also, we also have to realize that this is a story that was in, I think, a Sunday newspaper that maybe
never come back up
totally
since.
credible. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah, 100%. Hypothetically, I definitely would take him, but I agree. Never going to happen. It just isn't. It just isn't. Steve McLaren is mainly involved in Man United's project because of his knowledge of English football. Contracts with managers, directors and players. Erik ten Hag thinks it is wise to have someone on his staff who knows the culture of the club. That was reported by Mike Verwij as well. Hope I've said that right. Before we get into that, smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're not new to the channel. Nearly 1,000 people watching, which is sick for this time in the morning. And remember, we're having a 100k subscribers party, 19th of June. Grab your tickets. The link is in the video description below. I think it is. It should be.
It should be.
Make sure you guys go and grab your tickets. They are on there. We want to see as many of you guys as possible to come celebrate with us. And it's our first birthday as well by then. We'll be just before our first birthday, but yeah, roll it all into one. Is that you said about this, Owen? You said about, I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? Or was it the morning before? One of the mornings, I think it was yesterday. You said that, look, everyone was kind of, going in on Steve McLaren saying that he's old school. What does he know? And you explained why you thought that was a little bit unfair. Then you went on to say, and the reason why he's coming to the team, to the club, to the coaching staff is X. It's because of his knowledge, of the league and stuff like that. Not so much because he used to be here. Yeah. And now we're kind of seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, that was always my impression. I think some people, I said this before, Steve McLaren, because of his career and because of those sort of more comical moments in his career, when you mention his name, he does get mocked or he does get laughed at. We do think of Wally and the Brolly. We do think of him doing the interview with the Dutch accent. We do think of the thing when he's at Newcastle, that clip, when he's giving it like this, going, come here, he's going, come here. What? He's doing that. Everyone, like that's what people do with Steve McLaren.
He has got some funny moments. Yeah, he has.
He does. And people do forget his achievements as well. Like he was assistant manager under Fergie, won the treble. That's significant. As a manager, he got won the League Cup with Middlesbrough. He got Middlesbrough to a UEFA Cup final. He won the Eredivisie with FC Twente. The season before that, that's when Ten Hag was his assistant. So he's achieved a lot. But the idea that he was going to be coming in and he was going to be running training sessions, or he was going to be on the grass every single week running things, or he was going to have a major influence in our style of play or picking our side, just didn't make a lot of sense. Again, Erik ten Hag has been insistent that Mitchell, is it Van der Gaag or Van der Gag? I want to say Gaag.
I'm going to say Gaag. Again, that sounds very Dutchy.
Yeah, Mitchell van der Gaag. He's been insistent that he comes in with him from Ajax.
Until Ajax and the boys tell us different. Because they're probably
but he's been insistent that he comes in with him because we're not just buying Erik ten Hag, we're buying everything that surrounds him, right? Because sometimes a lot of coaches, they're great coaches, but they need their backroom staff. They need their assistants. They're just as important. Sometimes you're buying the team. You're just buying the one of you, buying the team. So given how insistent he was to get his assistant in, I always felt confident that it's really going to be Mitchell van der Gaag that's doing all the training, or he's going to be doing the majority of the stuff on the pitch. Him and Erik are going to be doing all that kind of stuff. And Steve's going to be there as more of a sort of overseeing kind of situation. He is almost going to be his version of Mike Phelan. Let's be honest. That's what he's going to be. Mike Phelan, when he came in under Ollie, was just as someone that knows the club, someone that's a guiding hand. He's got experience. If he's got questions, if there's pressure, how do I deal with this? What shall I do in this situation? What did Fergie do in this situation? Mike Phelan says that. Or Mike Phelan puts his arm around one of the players and say, actually do this, do that, right? And from Erik ten Hag's perspective, that's what Steve McLaren is. He's got a relationship with Steve McLaren. He knows him. He trusts him. In those situations where maybe he's like, how does it actually work over here with the Premier League? How does it actually work when it comes to the physicality and that kind of thing, right? then he can ask Steve McLaren, and he's got a relationship with him. The idea that Steve McLaren was going to be, on the touchline with a brolly or anything like that seemed pretty silly to me. So, and again, we spoke about this yesterday, that the club pushed back. What about Mike? Can you not have Mike? And it's not so much about Steve McLaren's, again, his history of the club, which is significant. I think it's more about his history of Ten Hag. Ten Hag trusts him. He's his English football contact, if you will. And there does need to be some element of adjustment. I know a lot of people say, and I've said it myself before, Premier League experience is kind of nonsense, which I do kind of subscribe to. But you do look at those people that have come in from abroad and been successful. Then most of the time is at least one person on their backroom staff that has a significant amount of history, either at the club or in the Premier League, right? Whether it's, Arsene Wenger with, was it Pat Rice? Had him on the backroom staff, whether it's Conte with Steve Holland, who's of course now the assistant manager for England. Those people, or whether it's Ancelotti had Paul Clement in there as well. They've always got someone that knows the club or knows the league on the backroom staff. Whether it's
Ray Wilkins used to be
exactly. Exactly. So
Chelsea,
I think that's just what it is. I think it's more of a sounding board. And again, if Ten Hag wants it, give it to him. Just give it to him.
That's the key here. I mean, we've said many times, and these are the things that I said we're going to start test and resolve. Do you know what I mean? From the off, when decisions get made that we raise an eyebrow or look up to the sky and be like, "Oh, is it, mate? It's what he wants. That's what he wants. Whether it's transfers, whether it's playing players, whether it's getting rid of players, whether it's the back staff, especially the backroom staff. That's like the one none of us should say anything. I mean, imagine he came in. Imagine he did say though, no, I've had a chat with Mike Phelan. I did. Everyone would be like, oh no, the club's made that. They wouldn't even believe that it was Ten Hag who did it. That's what would happen if he said, Mike's a legend of this club and kept him around. Everyone would be so annoyed by it that they wouldn't even believe that he was the one who asked for it. But that's what I'm saying. We're now in that bit already before he's even got here that we're like, Steve McLaren's a bit. No, like you said there, if they want him, they get him. Sammy McCoble, who's he's the head chief football writer at the Daily Mail. He says that Erik ten Hag and Mitchell van der Gaag are expected to hold a meeting with Man United colleagues over the next 24 hours. They've now landed in London, and he's come there with Mitchell van der Gaag, and they're set to confirm the Mitchell van der Gaag's number 2 position, because he hasn't actually been confirmed yet, but that seems imminent. Fabrizio Romano's
been doing a lot of work for someone that isn't actually involved.
100%. 100%. Jumping on the flight with Eric. Oh, yeah, I'll come on holiday with you.
Recruitment meetings.
Yeah, I'll just be there for vibes, make sure you're all right.
Yeah.
Give you a bit of confidence. Exactly. So that looks like it's imminent. So we're getting a much better idea of, Erik ten Hag's backroom staff. It's all but confirmed. We know it's going to be Mitchell van der Gaag and pretty much what's his face? Steve McLaren, who we're obviously talking about at the moment.
Yeah.
There was another thing from Andy Mitten I wanted to talk about as well. He said that the idea that Ralf Rangnick has overseen other decisions at Man United in relation to staff or player departures is inaccurate. He had almost no say in the appointment of Ten Hag. He was told to concentrate on coaching the first team. Thoughts?
Where's the Nigel Farage button?
Hold on, I'll be it. You all laughed at me. Well, I must say, you're not laughing now, are you?
That's how I feel. Because every time this has been brought up over the last few months, when people have been saying, Ralph's, and I agree, like Ralph's the key. And if we can utilize Ralph, and if Ralph can be an asset to Erik ten Hag and this, that, and the other, if Ralph's going to be involved in recruitment, and for a brief period there, it looked like he might be, because we're getting rid of the scouts and we're getting rid of Matt Judge and all that kind of stuff. I thought maybe, just maybe. But this entire time, every time when people say, oh, Ralph is going to be doing this, or Ralph's, talking to Ten Hag, or Ralph's going to be involved in this. He's not. He's not. And I don't say that as someone, and I don't say that as someone that's got like, I've got massive insider sources. He's not. Because I don't say someone's got massive insider sources, because I don't. The only reason that I said that is because that's what Ralph said. And that's what used to like blow my mind, is that people were ignoring his words. He would say in press conferences, they'll go, Ralph, have you had any, input when it comes to selecting a new manager? I'm just focused on the team. Ralph, do you know what your consultancy role is going to look like? I'm just focusing on the team. Ralph, you're going to be involved in January. You're involved in any transfer negotiations? I'm just involved with the team. Like, that's what he's just doing. He's just involved with the team. So now it's hardly a revelation that comes out going, oh yeah, he's been really involved in people leaving the club, or he's been really involved in transfer stuff, or he was really involved in Erik ten Hag, because he wasn't. He never was. Like, it became very, very apparent very quickly. It was just his title. He was just the interim manager. And that's what he was doing. The consultancy stuff doesn't kick in until that's finished, until the end of the season, until after Sunday. Even right now, I don't think they really truly know what that actually looked like. They just know that maybe it involves recruitment a bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. Again, I agree. Why you've got someone at this club that's been working with players for 6 months and could easily just give this information to Erik ten Hag and easily knows what Man United need to look for in terms of recruitment. Why shouldn't he be involved? He should be, but he's just not been involved. He hasn't. He's been the interim manager. And that is frustrating.
Ace says there, Owen, but he did say he wanted strikers in January, so he was involved. But he didn't get them, though. They said no.
Well, if you listen to his quotes when he said that, he recommended to the board, his words were, should we not look into getting a striker? He was told no. And then he went, okay. That's not really being involved in the recruitment process. If he was involved in the recruitment process, he would say, I think we should get a striker. Okay. Which striker are you thinking of? This striker, this striker, this striker. Okay. You're going to give him a call. Give him a call. You're going to be talking to their agent. Talk to their agent. You're going to be helping at the time, I guess, Matt Judge and John Murtough. You're going to be helping them negotiate prices and that. That was his recommendation. It was turned down. He went, okay, I've got training to do, and went back to training. That's the extent of he was involved in the recruitment process. And again, to me, that's not a revelation. It's frustrating considering that's his speciality. He's a sporting director by trade. He's great with transfers. You can fill an entire starting 11 with some of the best players in the world right now, of players he has signed and found in his career. But at the moment, and for the entirety of his time at Man United, he's just been the interim coach. That's all he's been doing.
Yeah, and you can tell they just haven't listened to anything he said. Like you said, and the main thing is that he said it himself. He's saying, I suggested this and that and the other. That last one, the answer was no. The answer was no. Yeah, but why did they say that, Ralph? Was it because there was no thing? Well, there was Diaz at the time who was at Porto. There was Vlahovic at the time who was at Juventus. He named the players and he goes, it doesn't matter why the answer was no. It was no. That's actually what he said. I remember.
He's very transparent. Again, that is what he does. This is what's crazy is like he is super, super, super transparent. Like every time that even those situations where it was a bit ambiguous, like with the Martial and the Lingard thing, I think he was telling what he perceived to be the truth. So why, when he was asked about transfers or when he was about his involvement in transfers, did we assume that he was lying?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't. Yeah. He never has.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
Exactly.
He just tells the truth.
Well, Ibrahim, thanks for the super chat. Ibrahim says Rashford's going to be world class under Erik ten Hag. The boy never got coached. It's a big shout, that, Ibrahim. It's a big shout. I hope you're right, because I want Rashford to do well. I'd love for Rashford to be world class.
I want everyone to do well.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not right now. And big up Levin. Levin's basically saying what you're saying. Big up Levin 2K in the chat. Great minds think alike. Levin said it's funny because so many people said they loved him, Ralph, because of his honesty, then just assumed he wasn't being honest about not being involved. Yeah, exactly. That's what you're saying, Owen. It's like we can't just pick and choose when we believed him. He's either the whole way refreshing or he's not. Do you know what I mean? And I found Ralph very refreshing. I do worry though, going forward. Like, I just think he's just going to fade away. I honestly do. I really do. Like the way it's just gathering momentum, and you hear that from Andy Mitten, and we know he wasn't involved. He never picked Ten Hag.
You think he's going to get an interview when he's the Austria boss, and they'll go, well, "How's it going with United?" He go, "I haven't spoken to him in months." Like it'll be like that.
And you know what, as well, what we've learned, one thing we have learned from Ralph in this 6 months or 7 months has been, he will say if that's the case.
Yeah.
I spoke to the club and I haven't heard.
As I
You'd
said.
have to, as I said, you have to ask the club about this. It doesn't make sense. We are preparing for a qualifying game. This doesn't make sense. Honestly, bro, yeah, I see a phase out. I see a phase out. Like it's just got them vibes. Yeah, you do the little thing where you're talking, picking up the phone for the first month or so, and then I can see
Well,
it.
the press conference will be really interesting Friday, because before, every time he's been asked about Erik ten Hag, he's basically said, look, we're hopefully going to have a meeting at the end of the season. We're going to have a discussion at the end of the season. He's busy with Ajax, so I don't want to really, he's busy doing his thing. I'm busy doing my thing, so we can't really do it right now. But now he's done with Ajax. So surely he should have confirmation or clarification, when it comes to what's going to happen with Erik ten Hag. In the press conference Friday, if they go, so we know Erik ten Hag's in the UK and he's meeting with people this week. Is it on the itinerary to meet with you? Yes or no? If he says yes, then we go, okay. If he says no, you go, Ralph, you might be in a bit of trouble.
Just a bit of trouble.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, Ralph's, bless him, he's gone. Who are we kidding? Like, he ain't going to have no say in this new thing. And another thing, and it's not even, disrespectful to Ten Hag. I just think he's just going to put his own stamp on it really quickly. Like, it just won't matter what Ralph says. I just think that they're both smart enough football people that they're, if Ralph was asked like, about Ten Hag's going to do this, he'd be like, yeah, that's a good one. Like, yeah, I would, they're good football people. Do you know what I mean? But
they take the meeting. I think they have.
Yeah.
I think they have
They will have that. No, they will have that. They will have that
Yeah.
because I think Ten Hag wants to have a really thorough approach to this. Do you know what I mean? He really wants to, take in all information, and who better to speak to than the guy who's been managing these Wallies for the last, since when did Ollie get sacked? Now I can't remember. November? Was it?
November,
December?
yeah.
November,
yeah,
innit?
exactly. Yeah. And also, I suppose, look, Ten Hag's, by all accounts, he's a details guy. He leaves nothing to chance. That's why he's over in the UK now. The day after he won, or he finished rather, his tenure with Ajax, he finished that early to come over here to get things prepared for the start of the next season when it comes to coaching staff, preseason schedules, season schedules, you name it, everything he's doing now to get a head start because he's a details guy. It would be quite then illogical for him not to just speak to Ralph and get more details. Why would you leave that to chance? Why would you go in there blind? You talk about having someone like Steve McLaren for experience and a bit of someone to bounce ideas off of, or just a general feeling of how things work in the Premier League. The current interim manager is offering himself or his opinions or his experience to you to say not only about the Premier League, but also the players and the state of play in the club right now. As a details guy, it would be illogical for him to go, nah, I'm all right, Ralph. I don't need that. You'd be like, well, you're over here early. You're doing all the details anyway. Why not? Why not get as much information as possible?
Yeah, he's got to do it. And I believe he will. I believe he's going to conduct a thorough, way of doing this. He's going to a thorough investigation, as they call it. A thorough job of starting to do what he needs to do. Because if you think about it, he's a football man. You see the interviews that he's done already. You see how he speaks and what it is that's important to him, the style of play, learning about players' characteristics and stuff. He needs someone equally on his wavelength to even be able to articulate that to the level that, how he is. So I think for me, he does a proper job, and he does that handover session. But going beyond that, I don't know. I can't
long
see.
term. Yeah.
I can't see. This is a 2-year consultancy role. What does that look like in 9 months? What is it like in 6 months?
Yeah,
let alone
does
a
he have
year,
that? Does he even
2
have
years?
who's his point of contact? I doubt his point of
Yeah,
contact would be Ten Hag. It would probably
no
be John
way.
Murtough. Chances are that would be his point of contact. The only positive, the way that I could spin it, is that if he is the man, well, he is the manager of Austria. And what do international managers tend to do between international breaks? They're 10 games, right? They're 10 games and they watch players. Essentially, that's the same as what a scout would do anyway. So logic would suggest if he's watching some of these Austrian players play in the Bundesliga, Serie A, or the French league, or wherever it may be, surely if he sees a player at one of those games, he can pick up the phone to John Murtough. I've got a direct line. You're paying me to do this. Hey, I saw this player at this game. I don't know if you're looking at him. I don't know what's going on. By the way, considering I used to be a sporting director, I do know his agent. So I can put you through. I can set something up. Maybe that's the way that he will operate. And if United, I would hope that's the way he will operate. But like you, I wouldn't be shocked if by the time we get into the next batch of international games and it's European Euros qualifying, and they're like, Ralph, so obviously first game of Austria, excited. How's it going with Man United? I haven't spoken in like 6 months.
This is something you will have to ask them.
Yeah.
That's always his line, isn't it? It's something that you have to ask.
They don't return my calls. Yeah, as I said, they don't return my calls. That's it. Sorry.
Ralph's funny, man. I know. Rio was saying like he don't think he should have been that on it.
You shouldn't air. You know what I mean? You shouldn't air it out in public. I don't understand that.
We gone past the things were so bad and everything was in public that it was time to air it, mate. It's already been aired by things that aren't official, so you may as well say it. Do you know what I mean? I just
supposed to lie.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if they asked him, how things are going, blah, blah, and he went, everything's great, we're doing fantastic. People would go, well, you're not, because you're sixth. So what's going on there? So I think his press conferences have been a breath of fresh air. I look forward to his last one.
Yeah, imagine when he drops the mic on that. He says some mad stuff in his last one.
Imagine if he's been holding back, which I think he has been. So imagine.
Yeah, because as he's getting closer to the end, he keeps saying more stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Tomorrow. Whew,
yeah. Oh yeah,
crazy one.
Presser. Yeah. What was I going to say? They said that there's been an internal investigation into the players fighting, and it's been sorted out, and there is confidence that it won't happen again.
With the leaks,
with the leaks and stuff like that. Sorry, do you think that's the case because they're saying those players are leaving now, so it'll be all right, or do you think it's Ten Hag's coming in, he'll get a grip of it, and they'll change, or what?
I think maybe both. I think maybe there's both with that one. That was from Andy Mitton as well, saying that they did an investigation into the leaks in the dressing room, and they're satisfied it won't be an issue next season.
Wow.
I like the word investigation.
Yeah.
Probably not hard to figure out where, if they're in the club, you probably tend to know where these kind of things come from. Nevertheless, I think probably a bit of both. That would assume that some people that have been speaking to other people aren't going to be around next season. Also, you could argue that maybe, because Ten Hag's such a disciplinarian, it'll be a stricter dressing room and there won't be as many leaks. Man United's a big club, so there are always going to be leaks. I think if you look in the media at the moment, you get a good idea of sometimes that these leaks don't always come from the players themselves. They can come from anything. They can come from anything or anyone that's around the club, and not even in the training ground that day. They can come from lots of different avenues. So it's tough. It is tough. Granted, people will say that, well, United, it's like the Titanic. There's a leak every day, especially when you look at other clubs like City or Liverpool or whatever. They're not having clubs, as many leaks and what have you. But we'll wait and see with that one. Like, this been a long season, Flex, like covering Manchester United, talking about Manchester United. It's
coming up to the end, man.
Mate, it's like, it honestly, it gives EastEnders or Coronation Street, I guess Coronation Street better, Manchester, a run for its money, because every night there's a story.
Yeah.
There's a fight, like it is in like the Rovers or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a fight. There's a fight. There's people I want to leave. It's constant, and it's draining. It's actually draining. Like, as a fan, when you go on like Twitter or you go on wherever, or you turn on the TV and you see this news story, like, can I just have a day? And even when there's a day without a big story, it kind of freaks you out a little bit at this point. You go, what's going on? Calm before the storm.
I wonder I wonder what it was going to be like. That's what I am intrigued to see. Obviously, we've got so much to fix in it. We've got to be patient, and we want to see the style of football. We want to see, obviously, results. We want to see progress. But one thing, because we've been so used to it and how poor the team has kind of conducted themselves, like whether it's in interviews, on social media, and one thing a friend of mine who actually I want to get him on the channel. Actually, I think we will do that. A good friend of mine. He worked very closely with the Ajax team and Erik ten Hag, and had some real good first-hand instances and accounts of some stuff. And hopefully he can come and share it with you guys. But I'll tell you, I'll share with you a little bit. He was basically just letting me know how intense he is and what he expects of the players and of how they conduct themselves, what they are and what they aren't allowed to do. And I wonder if we'll see instantly within the first few months, like things just being in order. Or I suppose you probably need to wait maybe until a couple of bad results to see what happens. Are you getting leaks? Was someone a bit spiky in their interview, or social media players going to Instagram to post something, or because I've heard some real interesting stuff about the rules that he puts on players and how intense he is of, no, you don't do that. You don't go and post this. You don't go and post that. So I'm interested to see that, because, and not like you said, a lot of our players are leaving. You don't want to name names. You don't want to say it's him, it's him, it's that. I think that's unfair.
Because we don't know.
Because we don't know.
Yeah.
I think anyone who says they do know, good luck to them. Cool if you want to sit on that sword. But I would never go on the internet and lie. I have no idea who's been doing X, Y, Z. The people that do know, that's up to them. But you would hope that a lot of those people are moving. So it would give Erik ten Hag less to sort out.
It'll be interesting to see the reaction to it as well, because like you said, like it's well known at this point that ten Hag is a bit of a disciplinarian, especially when it comes to his training. He's a perfectionist, and he's not afraid, as he mentioned in interviews, to look players in the eye, tell them what he thinks about them, tell them what he thinks about their performances. And if he's got all of these rules, my slight concern would be, how long is it before that report comes out of going, some of the players don't like how,
if I see that one, bro, I'm telling you now, that's the one that will. That's the one that there's like certain ones that's like, don't you fucking dare, like don't you even that kind of thing. And also though, another thing we're gonna have to be quite headstrong in is this. It's actually the media. It's actually the media, because if you think about it, a lot of headlines that have come out this year, some have been so wild, but we still think there's something in them because of what's going on at the club. And we've been very forthcoming, especially on this channel, saying, listen, don't believe everything you read. The truth is somewhere in between. But it's very easy to put a negative headline out there because the club's shit right now. And you know what? I could probably believe that. The players that want to train after 5 p.m., I believe that. They're always crying. They're always moaning, like, they're playing crap. But when we're trying to build, it's going to be interesting to see what the media does, because we have to remember that as fans, like, the media still have a job to do, and United sells. So we have to kind of play our part in being reserved in what we see and what we hear, and discussing it in the right way. Because I think, I'm not saying ignore everything the club say and be a little puppet for the club and say, no, everything's perfect. But at the same time, I'm not saying believe everything, because when we're trying to do stuff, there are going to be, some journos out there or whatever who they want the big headlines, they want the big stories, and they want to look to, halt Man United's little progress that we might make. I think that's important next year.
I think also as well, you mentioned it with on the Flex and KG show on Tuesday, that there might be points next season where you're looking at United going, don't panic, because it might not be going well.
Yes.
Because there might be instances where we, like 2-3 games in a row, might lose, and it's like, oof, edge of a cliff, all that kind of stuff, and you're going, no, commit. We've committed at this point. We've got to see it through. It might get worse before it gets better. But I agree with you. I think there will be those moments next year. I really do.
Yeah. Raz says they will go in on ten Hag big time. We have to stand by him and block out the toxicity. Exactly. Obviously, we're not going to have rose-tinted glasses on. If people are playing poorly and we see no improvement, we're entitled to our opinion of what we're physically seeing. Then again, I go back to that Ajax fan that I spoke to. He had the bucket hat on, and he was saying in the first year we were saying, stupid, bold ten Hag. What's he this? He's rubbish. He's that. And he stressed to me, even off camera when we finished talking, he was like, just give him, when it goes wrong or it looks like it's not going to happen, or stay in there, give him time. And I've remembered that, and I'm going to try my best to keep calm next year when it gets awful, and things like that, because you never know. Anyway, guys, great show. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and remember to grab your tickets to the 100k party. The link is in the video description below. It's on the 19th of June at London's famous O2 Arena. at Tocker Social, an amazing interactive football space. Football games there, music. I'll be on the decks. A couple of friends will be on the decks. Owen will be on the dance floor. Owen will be on the dance floor. KG will be KGing. Everyone's coming down. Marcel, Faz, DJ, etc. Cam, the whole cast, and everyone, people from the industry, some ex-players going to be down there as well. A lot of people from the YouTube space. So if you want to come meet people that you enjoy watching, or you have enjoyed watching over the years, pop down. And obviously us. So yeah, we'll be back later on with another video, 6 p.m. And we'll see you all again very soon. Peace.